I was supposed to die as a child. That was the comforting news that my mom shared with me one day when I was in high school. I don't recall the details of the event itself, but I escaped her womb earlier than expected, a few weeks, and entered the world tipping the scales at a meager 3 pounds. And so I spent the first weeks of my life in the NICU, in the hospital, unknowingly on the verge of losing the life that I had just been given. But it seems to me every birth has this kind of drama to it. The birth of every child is filled with this tension between joy and fear. But to see a newborn child is not just to see the gift of new life, it's also to see the birth of a new hope. It's to see the birth of endless possibilities that suddenly appear on the horizon as to who this child will become. What opportunities will she be given? What newness will he introduce to the world? The birth of Christ is no different. His birth is also the birth of a new hope, not just for the Holy Family, but for the human family. The birth of Jesus is the birth of a new destiny for all people, a possibility for life that didn't exist before he entered the world. In that tiny child was the power of defeating despair and the fount of infinite mercy that would liberate us from sin. In him was a majesty that could annihilate all of creation in a moment, right alongside a bottomless compassion that desired nothing more than to unite the world to himself. Friends, what Christ gave us in his birth was a reason to live, a reason to get out of bed in the morning, a reason to go searching for beauty and hope in this world. And so we ought to celebrate the birth of Jesus with a renewed zeal for life. While it's very tempting these days to give in to despair and to lose hope in the world, Christmas says precisely the opposite. This is not the time to lose hope. This is the time to bring hope into the world. This is not the time to get lost in the darkness. This is the time to show forth the light that illuminates the beauty of everything. I was thinking of this recently. I was listening to the new album by Adele, 30. It's a great album, but totally sad. I mean, what she had to go through to write that kind of album must have been horrific. I mean, it's full of this kind of agony and heartache, and it's painful even just to listen to the album. And yet, she's still singing. And yet in the midst of it, you can hear, because she has this dialogue with her daughter all throughout the album. And there's this sense of her daughter who's the one who gives her hope, who gives her a reason to keep going. And she has these intimate dialogues with her daughter that make her want to keep going. It's a beautiful, painful album. In my office, I have this image of St. Joseph at his workbench, and at the other end of the workbench is Jesus as a child holding this candle that is illuminating the face of St. Joseph. And the eyes of Jesus are just piercing at Joseph. They're just enamored by this man who is hard at work, and it gives a certain dignity to the work that Joseph is doing. Somehow the child Jesus shows a new light on the work that Joseph was doing that day. This is precisely what Christmas invites us to do. To look at the world with the light of our eyes so that light shines on the things that we look at. To see the dignity of our sisters and brothers even when they have covered themselves in the mud of sin. To see the value of our work even when it feels tiresome and useless. We have to do this. We have to do this because there is no joy without hope. If we can't find the hope of Christ in this world, then we are doomed to live lives of despair. This tiny child brings hope. And this is what we have to look for. This is what we have to do day in and day out, whether we're at prayer or at work or at leisure. No matter what we're doing, we have to find the hope. We have to find the hope. Just so I know you're paying attention, say it after me. Find the hope. You can do better. Find the hope. This is what we have to do, friends. We have to find the hope in this darkened world, a world that is so filled sometimes with violence and anger and discord, with people who are angry at each other and yelling constantly like I am right now in this homily. Hope is what saves the world. Hope is what gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning and go looking for something new. Hope that is born with the birth of Jesus Christ, that invites us into a relationship with the Father that we could have never given to ourselves. Hope is what Christmas is about. Hope for a new life that awakens us in such a way that we want to do everything. We want to experience the beauty of everything. Just this past week, a couple of days ago, I was having dinner at Comfort, just down the road. And we were in the basement, and I was across from a table, and I was waiting for the others to get there. And so I was just kind of sitting there, and I could hear a conversation. I hope it was with none of you. They were sitting at the table, and they were conversing with their waiter. And at some point, for some reason, they asked him about religion. I was not wearing my collar at the time. I certainly wasn't wearing this, but I wasn't wearing my collar at the time. And so they had no idea I was in disguise. It was great. And at a certain point, they asked their waiter, "What do you think about religion?" And he said, "Well, honestly, I have to say that I think religion is just a cult, because it tries to take something mysterious and explain it away. It tries to take God, who is almighty, and make him human." And I was just, It was a shame, because he left immediately after the conversation, and I didn't want to make it seem like I was eavesdropping, although that's exactly what I was doing. But I wanted to say, no, that is not what religion is about, at least not our religion. Our religion is not about taking the mystery and dumbing it down and reducing it to something less. Our religion is about allowing the mystery to be mysterious and to invite us into it. Our religion is not about reducing God to something human. Our religion is about God lifting us up to become divine. Our religion is about immersing ourselves in the beauty of everything that we have been given, so that we can realize how infinite and creative and beautiful and majestic our God is, and how he calls us to greatness. That is what we are about. That is what our faith tells us. That is the destiny for which we were made. And friends, this is what we celebrate today. And this is what we have to celebrate, not out of duty or responsibility, because the Lord has given us life, a new life, a life that is destined for glory. And so let's live well. Let's celebrate well. Let's give glory to God for the good things that the Lord has done for us. Let's rejoice at the birth of our Messiah, who gives hope and invites us into the very depths of the mystery of God.